When people fail, most of them don't fail because they are not smart. They fail because they give up too soon. Success doesn't come to those who are always strong. It comes to those who simply don't quit when things get hard. I've met thousands of young people, and I always tell them the moment you feel like giving up is often the moment right before life changes. But most people never find out because they walk away too early. When I started Alibaba, every single investor we met rejected us. I went to 30 different banks, and not one believed in our idea. Imagine this, 30 doors closing in your face. 30 times someone tells you, you can't do it. Most people would say, maybe they're right, but I didn't. Not because I was fearless, but because I had already failed so many times that rejection became my teacher. Every no was a test, not of my idea, but of my endurance. You see, life is not a straight road, it's a mountain. When you start climbing, it's exciting at first. The air is fresh, the view is nice, you feel strong, but then comes the middle. The part where the air gets thinner, your legs start to shake, and the top seems very far away. That's when people stop. That's when they say, maybe this isn't for me. But success lives exactly in that uncomfortable zone, right where you think you can't continue. Our mind is like a muscle. When it faces pressure, it grows. But if we quit at the first sign of pain, we never allow that strength to form. Many people misunderstand this. They think success is about talent or luck. It's not. Success is about staying in the game long enough to learn how to play it better. The ones who last win. Let me give you an analogy. Think about planting a seed. When you put it in the soil, you water it every day for days, maybe weeks, nothing happens. You start to doubt, maybe the seed is dead, maybe the soil is bad. But what you don't see is that something powerful is happening underground. The roots are growing, they are preparing to hold a tree that will one day rise above the earth. The same happens in life. Your effort might not show results immediately, but it's creating the roots of your future. I've seen so many people lose faith because they don't see quick results. They start something, a business, a dream, a habit, and when it doesn't work right away, they say, maybe it's not meant for me. But remember, even a baby must crawl before it walks. You can run before you fall a few times. Every struggle, every delay, every disappointment, these are not signs of failure. They are signs that growth is happening where you can't see it yet. There's also science behind this. When you persist through challenges, your brain rewires itself. It starts to associate effort with progress. That's called neuroplasticity, the ability of your brain to adapt. When you give up too soon, you interrupt that process. But when you keep going, even when tired, your brain learns resilience. It becomes easier the next time. You're training your mind to become stronger than your emotions. So, if you want to make a comeback in life, don't focus on how far you have to go. Focus on not stopping. Take one step, then another. Progress doesn't set always raw. Sometimes it whispers, and that whisper is you saying, I will try again tomorrow. I often say perseverance is not about never falling. It's about getting up one more time than you fall. If you fall 7 times, get up 8. That's how life rewards you. Not with miracles, but with moments, small moments, where effort meets timing, and suddenly everything makes sense. When you stop giving up, something magical happens. You stop depending on motivation and start building discipline. You stop chasing results and start trusting the process. And one day, without realizing it, you'll look back and see that what once felt impossible is now your new normal. That's the quiet beauty of a comeback. It doesn't happen in a single day. It happens in the days you decided not to quit. Every morning when you wake up, you are given a new chance, a blank page to write your story again. But most people open that page and let fear write it for them. They start the day already thinking about what could go wrong, who will not believe in them, or what might fail again. I've learned that success doesn't start with opportunity, it starts with mindset. Your thoughts are like the software of your life. If you install the wrong program, no matter how powerful your hardware is, it won't run smoothly. When I was young, I applied for many jobs. I was rejected by KFC, by police, even by the hotel down the street. I remember feeling useless, but something inside whispered, it's okay. Maybe the world is rejecting you to prepare you. That whisper became my companion. I started to practice a simple daily habit. Before I began my work, I would say to myself, Jack, you are still learning. It was not about motivation. It was about reminding my brain that life is a process. And when you train your mind to see every challenge as a lesson instead of a punishment, everything changes. Your daily habits are like the small bricks that build your future. Many people think they need a big plan, a grand opportunity, or a miracle to turn their life around. But the truth is, greatness is hidden in small routines, in how you spend your mornings, in how you talk to yourself, in how you react when life disappoints you. If you can win those small moments, you can win big in life. Let me share something simple you can do. Every day before you check your phone, take 1 minute to sit quietly. Breathe and ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be today? Don't think about goals or money, just the kind of human being you want to become. When you start your day with that clarity, you begin to control your emotions instead of letting them control you. This is how you build mental discipline, by taking charge of your inner world before the outer world begins to influence you. There's a saying in Chinese, if you cannot manage the morning, you cannot manage your life. I've found this to be true. Your morning is like the first domino. When it falls in the right direction, everything else follows. Even something as small as making your bed or walking in silence for 10 minutes can train your brain to finish what it starts. The human brain loves completion. When you complete small things, it releases dopamine, the chemical of satisfaction. That's why small victories matter. They give your mind evidence that you are capable. I've seen young entrepreneurs who try to change their lives overnight. They start 10 things at once and quit within a week because they can't handle the chaos. Change doesn't come from intensity. It comes from consistency. A bamboo tree takes 5 years to grow roots underground before it even breaks the surface. But when it finally grows, it shoots up 90 feet in just 6 weeks. What made it grow so fast? The years of invisible preparation. Your habits are your roots. Build them quietly, and when your moment comes, you will rise faster than anyone expects. Science agrees with this too. When you repeat positive actions, your brain forms new neural pathways. It's like carving a small trail in a forest. Walk that path every day, and soon it becomes clear. Automatic, natural. That's how habits shape destiny. You don't need to be extraordinary to change your life. You just need to repeat small positive acts until they become your identity. So, start small. Read 10 pages instead of scrolling for an hour. Write down one thing you're grateful for before you sleep. Compliment someone instead of criticizing. You might think these things don't matter, but they do. Because every time you choose growth over comfort, you send a message to the universe. I am ready for more. And over time, life listens. Doors begin to open. Not because you're lucky, but because you are aligned. Your mind, heart, and habits are moving in the same direction. That is when momentum begins. That is when you no longer chase success. Success starts to find you. So remember, it's not the big things that build your comeback. It's the small daily decisions that seem unimportant. The way you do one thing becomes the way you do everything. And if you can start each day with the intention to grow even by 1%, you'll look back one day and realize that you didn't just change your habits, you changed your life. When people face failure, most of them see it as a dead end. They think, this is the end of my journey. But the truth is, failure is not the opposite of success. It is the beginning of understanding. Every failure carries a message, and that message is not meant to break you. It's meant to prepare you. I often tell young people, if you learn how to talk to your failure, instead of running away from it, you will start to hear the lessons it was trying to give you. When I started Alibaba, I didn't know anything about business. I was an English teacher, not a businessman. Many people laughed and said, Jack, you don't understand technology. You will fail. And I did many times. But I refused to believe that failure meant the end. I looked at it as tuition, the price I paid to learn something valuable. You can lose money and rebuild it, but if you lose your willingness to learn, you lose everything. Your comeback begins the moment you change how you see your setbacks. When something doesn't go your way, don't ask, why is this happening to me? Instead, ask, what is this trying to teach me? That simple change in thinking transforms pain into power. Failure only defeats those who take it personally. It strengthens those who take it as feedback. There's a story I love about a potter who makes clay pots. One day he puts his pots in the kiln, but the fire burns too hot and cracks many of them. He feels frustrated, but instead of throwing them away, he studies the cracked pots. He learns how to adjust the temperature, how long to bake, how to shape the clay differently. With each broken pot, his skill grows, and one day he creates a pot so beautiful that people come from far away to buy it. That masterpiece could only exist because of the pots that broke before it. Life works the same way. Your cracks, your scars, your failures, they are not signs of weakness. They are proof that you are being molded. When you embrace your mistakes, you begin to master yourself. And mastery, whether in business, art, or personal growth, is born from persistence through imperfection. Psychologists say that humans learn best through what's called error-based learning. It means our brain grows stronger, not when we do everything right, but when we make mistakes and correct them. Each time you fail and try again, your brain forms stronger neural pathways. It's literally building a new version of you, one that is wiser and tougher. So when you quit too soon, you interrupt this beautiful process of self-creation. In my experience, the most successful people are not the most talented or the luckiest. They are the ones who learn how to stay calm in failure. They treat it like data. They observe, reflect, adjust, and try again. That's what I did every time an idea didn't work. I didn't say, I'm stupid. I said, that didn't work. Why? And from that why, new opportunities always came. Think about a child learning to walk. When the child falls, he doesn't cry and decide never to walk again. He gets up again and again until one day walking becomes natural. Why? Because he never once believed that falling was failure. He believed it was part of learning. Adults forget this truth. We attach shame to failure, when in fact it's just part of growing up, even at 50, 60, 70 years old. There is also a spiritual truth here. Failure humbles us. It reminds us that we are not in full control, that life is a partnership between our effort and the timing of the universe. Sometimes the door doesn't open, not because it's locked, but because it's not your door yet. Failure slows you down long enough to learn what kind of person you need to become before success arrives. So, if you want to make your comeback real, start by changing your relationship with failure. Don't run from it. Study it. Appreciate it. Let it refine you instead of define you. Because in the end, success is not built on perfection. It's built on endurance, humility, and lessons learned in silence. And when you finally rise again, because you'll realize something powerful. The version of you that failed could never have handled the success that was coming. The failures were not blocks on your path. They were the path. One of the biggest mistakes people make in their journey of growth is thinking that success must be visible immediately. They measure their worth by how much others can see. The car, the title, the followers, the applause. But real progress, the kind that changes your life forever, is often invisible in the beginning. It grows quietly like the roots of a tree before the leaves ever appear. The problem is that we live in a world that celebrates the fruit but forgets the soil. Everyone wants to shine, but few are willing to stay underground long enough to build the foundation. When I started Alibaba, people around me didn't see progress for years. They thought we were wasting time. But every day, my team and I were learning something new, building relationships, improving our understanding of the market. From the outside, it looked like nothing was happening. But from the inside, transformation was taking place. That's why I always say, don't let the lack of visible results make you doubt your invisible effort. If you want to measure your true growth, don't count how many people are clapping for you. Count how many times you got back up after nobody did. Success is not a straight line, it's a heartbeat, up and down, up and down. And that's what makes it alive. When things are flat, that's when you should worry, because that means you've stopped growing. Here's a simple self-check you can do. Every week, ask yourself 3 questions. First, did I keep my promises to myself? Second, did I react with patience instead of anger? Third, did I take one small step toward my goal, no matter how hard it felt? If you can answer yes to even one of these, then you are making progress, even if the world doesn't see it yet. Growth is not measured by how fast you go, it's measured by how consistently you move forward, even when it's slow. I remember one of my employees a young man who joined Alibaba early on. He worked quietly. He didn't talk much, didn't try to impress anyone, but every week he would stay a little later, study a little harder, improve one small skill. People ignored him for years, and then one day he became one of our top leaders. Not because he was the loudest, but because he never stopped improving. His progress was invisible for a long time, but it was happening every single day. That's how life rewards those who keep going when no one is watching. Our human brain often craves instant validation. Psychologists call it the reward loop. When we see quick results, we feel good. When we don't, we lose motivation. But life is not built like a smartphone app, where results come with one tap. Real success follows a natural delay, the period between effort and reward. It's in that delay that your character is tested. That's when your comeback is built, not during applause, but during silence. Think of a mountain climber. When he's halfway up the mountain, he can't see the top. The fog covers everything. But he doesn't stop and say, the top doesn't exist. He keeps climbing because he trusts that every step takes him higher, even if the view hasn't changed yet. You must do the same. Sometimes your progress is hidden, not because it's missing, but because it's maturing. The fruit is ripening beneath the skin, and if you try to force it too early, it will never taste sweet. I believe life gives each of us tests disguised as stillness. Those seasons where nothing seems to move are not punishments. They are preparation. They teach you patience, humility, and faith. Because if success came too quickly, we would not know how to handle it. The waiting shapes the winner. So if today you feel stuck, if you feel unseen, if you feel like nothing is changing, remember this: the seed buried under soil feels the same way. But one day, that same seed breaks through the ground, reaching for light, and everyone says, wow, how fast it grew. They forget the years it spent in darkness preparing for that moment. Your comeback works the same way. Don't measure your progress by what others can see. Measure it by how deeply you've rooted your discipline, your patience, and your belief. Because when the roots are deep, the storm cannot break you. When I talk to young people, I often ask them one question: how do you take care of your mind and body every day? Most of them look surprised. They talk about goals, hard work, hustle, but very few mention energy, movement, or rest. They want to climb mountains, but forget they need legs strong enough to climb. Success is not just about what happens in your mind, it's also about how you take care of the machine that carries your dreams, your body. When I was younger, I used to work long hours without thinking about health. I thought passion was enough to keep me going. But over time, I learned that passion without balance burns you out. You can't fight every battle with an empty tank. The body and the mind are like two sides of the same coin. If one breaks, the other suffers. So when I speak about success, I don't just talk about ambition, I talk about energy. You can't make a comeback if your energy is broken. Movement is one of the simplest and most powerful ways to rebuild that energy. You don't need a gym or fancy equipment, you just need consistency. Take a walk in the morning, stretch for 10 minutes. Breathe deeply before sleep. It sounds small, but these small movements send a message to your body. I care about you, and when you care for your body, it begins to care for your dreams. Science supports this. When you move your body, your brain releases chemicals like endorphins and serotonin, the natural medicine for stress and sadness. Your blood carries more oxygen, your heart becomes stronger, and your mind becomes clearer. That's why after a short walk or light exercise, you feel calm but awake. This is not coincidence, it's biology. Your body rewards you for taking care of it. I've seen many entrepreneurs fail, not because their ideas were bad, but because they were exhausted. They didn't know how to rest. They confused busyness with progress. You see, rest is not the opposite of work. It's part of the work. Just like a bow must be unstrung to stay strong, your body must relax to perform again. If you always stay tense, you'll eventually snap. There's a story about a farmer who had a horse that worked the fields every day. The farmer loved the horse, but he never let it rest. One day the horse collapsed. The farmer cried and said, "You were my strength." But the horse whispered, "You loved my work, but you didn't love my well-being." Many of us treat ourselves like that farmer. We push, but never pause to nurture. And then we wonder why we break. Taking care of your physical energy is not selfish. It's responsible because when you feel strong, you think clearer, you lead better, and you love deeper. Even simple habits, drinking enough water, getting sunlight, sleeping on time, these are not small things. They are signals of self-respect. You can't respect your dreams if you don't respect your body first. Try this each morning. Before checking your phone, move your body for 5 minutes. Do something simple. Stretch, breathe, walk or dance. Tell yourself, I'm preparing my energy. You'll notice a difference. You'll face your challenges with more calmness, more patience, and more confidence. Your energy becomes your armor. And don't forget the heart. The heart is not just an organ, it's your compass. When your heart feels heavy, your steps become slow. That's why gratitude is so important. Gratitude opens the heart and keeps your energy clean. Each day, take a moment to thank your body, your eyes for seeing, your hands for walking, your feet for walking. When you do that, your body responds with strength. In Chinese philosophy, we say, the softest thing in the world can overcome the hardest. This is the wisdom of balance. Success doesn't belong to those who run the fastest. It belongs to those who know when to slow down, breathe, and continue. So if you are on your comeback journey, remember it's not only about thinking harder or walking longer. It's about living smarter, moving gently, and respecting the vessel that carries your dreams. When you move every day, not for the world, but for yourself, your energy becomes stable. And with stable energy, you can climb any mountain, rebuild after any fall, and smile through any storm. Because the body that is cared for becomes the home of a peaceful mind, and a peaceful mind can achieve anything. When I think about the people who truly build lasting success, not just quick wins, there is one quality they all share: consistency. Not passion, not luck, not genius, just the quiet, unshakable ability to keep doing the right thing for a very long time, even when nobody is watching. Anyone can start strong, but very few stay steady. And that's where greatness lives, in the ability to stay when others walk away. You see, life rewards patience, but most people give up just before their reward arrives. They want the tree, but not the season of watering. They want the light, but not the dawn that comes after darkness. Yet everything meaningful takes time to mature. You can't force a seed to grow faster by shouting at it. It needs time, care, and trust. The same is true for your dreams. Long-term resilience is built when you learn to do what's right, not what's easy. It's about creating habits that protect your future even when the present feels uncertain. For me, one of those habits was reflection. Every night before I sleep, I ask myself 3 questions. What did I learn today? Who did I help? And how can I do better tomorrow? It's a simple ritual, but it keeps me grounded. It reminds me that progress is not about one big moment. It's about thousands of small, honest days. When we built Alibaba, there were many days when it felt hopeless. Competitors were stronger, resources were scarce, and the market didn't believe in us. I remember one night I sat alone and thought, maybe this is the end. But then I told myself, no, this is just one page in a long story. That mindset, the belief that tomorrow still holds possibility, kept me going. That's what consistency means. It's not about never feeling tired. It's about not letting tiredness decide your future. There's a beautiful lesson from nature. Have you ever seen a river carve its way through stone? It doesn't do it in one day. It flows gently, patiently, year after year, until the hardest rock gives way. The water doesn't fight with the stone. It stays consistent. That's how life works too. You don't need to be the strongest or the fastest. You just need to keep flowing. The soft persistence of your effort will shape the hardest challenges over time. Science teaches us that the human body rebuilds itself continuously. Cells die and regenerate. Your heart, your skin, your bones, they are constantly renewing. The same law applies to your life. If you continue showing up, even in small ways, you are always rebuilding yourself. You may not notice the change today, but one day you'll look back and realize you've become someone entirely new, someone stronger, wiser, and calmer. This is why I often say, don't chase success, build endurance. Because success without endurance is like a candle in the wind. It burns bright but fades fast. Real success is a slow fire, steady, warm, unshakable. It grows because you feed it every day with discipline, humility, and gratitude. Gratitude especially is the foundation of long-term peace. When you wake up and thank life for giving you another chance, even when things aren't perfect, your heart stays open. Gratitude keeps you from becoming bitter. It teaches you to see meaning in struggle and hope in waiting. People who live with gratitude rarely quit because they understand that even the tough days are gifts for growth. So build your life like a craftsman builds a masterpiece, not in a rush, not for applause, but with patience, precision, and pride in the process. Make consistency your identity. When you fall, get up again, not for the world, but for yourself. Remember, the comeback you are waiting for is not something that will happen suddenly one day. It is happening right now, quietly, in every choice you make to stay faithful to your path. The future belongs to those who keep walking, step by step, even when the road is long. Because in the end, time is the greatest test. Anyone can work hard for a season, but those who endure with patience, who nurture their dreams like a gardener tends to his garden, they are the ones who bloom every spring. And that, my friend, is the secret of a life that not only succeeds but also shines. Don't worry about being the best, worry about being better every single day. The world will doubt you 1,000 times. Just don't sit, let your heart join them.